Good day everyone, today I'll be sharing you my insights in how to correct or update Admiralty Sailing's directions and Admiralty list of lights and fog signals and Admiralty list of radio signals and also miscellaneous publications. Admiralty Sailing Directions. So before using Admiralty Sailing Directions, the mariner must always first check that the most recent edition of the volume and its supplement where relevant are held. Then second is check that all amendments in Annual Notices to Mariners Part 2 or amendments to Sailing Direction have been applied. Then third, check all the amendments published at Section 4 of weekly editions of Admiralty Notice to Mariners subsequent to the publication of the most recent edition of Annual Notices to Mariners Part 2 or amendments to Sailing Directions have been applied. Using the most recent quarterly checklist at Section 1B of the weekly edition and the most recent edition of cumulative list of Admiralty Notice to Mariners. So, where it's found that the most of the information is not held, the most recent edition of all Admiralty publications can be obtained from Admiralty Charts agents, and back copies of weekly editions of Admiralty Notices to Mariners can also be downloaded from the UKHO website. Supplements. Some usually older editions of Sailing Directions continue to be amended by supplement. Supplements are generally published every 4 years. They are cumulative in nature, so that each supplement on publication replaces its predecessors and any Section 4 notices extant since either publication of the most recent edition or since the previous supplement in entirely when an edition of Sailing Direction is ordered. Any extant supplement pertaining to that volume will be supplied automatically with the parent volume. New editions. Sailing Direction are updated by a process of continuous revision with titles republished as new editions at approximately 3 yearly intervals. Some volumes indicated in the catalog of Admiralty Charts and publications are on extended cycle of approximately 5 years. To determine the current editions of Sailing Direction and their latest supplements if applicable, and for information regarding the publication's date of new editions, see Annual Notices to Mariners Part 2 or amendments to Sailing Directions. This information can also be found in Catalog of Admiralty Charts and Publications, Cumulative List of Admiralty Notice to Mariners, and Quarterly at Section 1B of Weekly Editions of Admiralty Notice to Mariners. Admiralty List of Lights and Fog Signals. System of updating. Each list of lights volume is kept up to date in a continuously revision cycle. This means that it will be continuously revised by its editors for a period of 1 year using information received in the UKHO. It will then be republished as a new edition, normally in the same month annually. Publication of a new edition is announced in Part 1 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners. During the life of the book, Important Safety of Life at Sea or SOLAS, amendments are issued each week in Section 5 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners. Minor amendments are not issued for the paper books but are available in the Admiralty Digital List of Lights or ADLL. All minor and SOLAS amendments are included in each new edition of the book. Directions for updating. Each edition of the Admiralty List of Lights and Fog Signals contains the latest information received by the UKHO and supersedes the previous edition. Subsequent updates to each book will be included in Section 5 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners, copies of which can be obtained from authorized Admiralty agents or via the UKHO. The insertion of weekly amendments should be recorded in the table at the front of each volume. The amendments which accumulate during the book printing period will be found in Section 5 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners, which announced the publication of new edition. A cut-out new edition note is passed into the new edition first amendments box. New and extensively altered entries are intended to be passed in. It is recommended that a manuscript entry is made for all shorter amendments. The entire entry for each slight amendment will be printed, including minor changes, and an asterisk will be denote which column contains an amendment. In the case of new light, an asterisk will be appear under a columns removed from list. Will be used when a light is withdrawn and remove fog signal when a fog signal is discontinued. Admiralty list of radio signals. For direction updating. Each edition of Admiralty list of radio signals contains the latest information received by the UKHO and supersedes the previous edition. Updates to each book will include in Section 4 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners, copies of which can be obtained from authorized Admiralty agents or via UKHO. A cumulative list of amendments is published quarterly in Section 4 of the weekly edition of Admiralty Notices to Mariners and provides summary list of the entires in the current edition which have been amended. Miscellaneous updates to charts. Miscellaneous updates primarily include changes to charts as a result of the publication of the new editions and new charts listed in Section 1. This can include changes to the limits of larger scale charts, change adjoining chart, references or altered cautionary notes.